When you are in a fasted state, you are doing several things to your microbiome. So one, you are getting rid of the bad bacteria that's in the gut. Now, why this happens is that without food, a lot of that bad bacteria can't survive. So Candida is an amazing example of this. And SIBO, even the bacteria that's in the wrong place, is a great example of this. That when we stop feeding food to the microbes, the bad ones go away. So that's beautiful. Will that lessen your diversity? Sure. In that moment, the bad ones are going away. We need the bad ones down. The second thing that it'll do is all the microbes like to clump together. And so what it does is it lets those microbes relocate and spread out. So this is beautiful because when microbes are clumped together, when you're eating food, if their microbes are like in a little pack, they can't pull the B vitamins and all the nutrients that you need, amino acids, things like that, out of your food and move it into your bloodstream. That's the purpose of your microbes, is to think of it like you have a living organism in your gut that every time you eat, you are breaking that living organism is pulling food out or pulling nutrients out of your food. So it gets like a traffic jam in there, especially if we haven't been eating the right amount of food. So when we fast, these microbes spread out and the bad ones start to go away. The third thing, if you go 24 hours, we know that you will start to hit a point at which your intestinal stem cells will go in and change the environment in there. And this is massively important for leaky gut, because if you have a leaky gut, think of your inner mucosal lining as saran wrap. And that saran wrap gets pinholes in it. That's what a leaky gut is. And now when you eat, undigested food goes through those pinholes into your bloodstream, and your body says, oh my God, this is a foreign invader. We better create an inflammatory response. So all of this change is happening when we go into a fasted state. But if I'm a scientist, I'm going to come in and I'm going to look at that and I'm going to be like, okay, I saw the diversity go down. I saw I got bloated. There's bloating, there's constipation, there's diarrhea, there's all these adverse changes that are happening when you're fasting. It must be that fasting is not good for the microbiome. What I'm telling you, what I did in my clinic for so many years was like give supplements to people. Before I understood about fasting, I was like, here's your Candida supplement, here's your SIBO supplement, here's your probiotic. Everybody should be doing this. I do very little recommending of probiotics, enzymes, Candida killers. I just think your door in is to fast first before you start trying to heal your gut with supplementation. So we wipe away the old in the fasted state. Now, here's the key. What are you going to break that fast with? What foods are you going to put back in there? And this is where food does matter. And this is why I like the 3 Ps. Add in your polyphenol, add in your probiotic foods, add in your prebiotic foods. This is really, really important because you now have an opportunity to feed those microbes in a really good way. If I decide, hey, not going to change my diet, but I want to help my metabolic markers, and I just fast 16 hours every single day. Of course, if you're a woman, I want you to time that to your cycle. And I eat junk in my eating window, you might not make much headway with your microbiome. You'll make headway with your weight loss, but you might not make headway with your microbiome. And the microbiome is ridiculously important because this is where your neurotransmitters are being made. One of the most important ones being serotonin. And for women, especially as we go through menopause, you lose estradiol, which is the potent version of estrogen that goes into a serotonin receptor site. So you're losing serotonin as you go through menopause because you're lost estradiol. So when we look at how do we keep our serotonin levels up, we have to go back to the gut and really start to make sure we're doing the best job we possibly can to heal our gut. And how you do that is by pairing your fasting lifestyle with these 3 Ps, feeding those good microbes. So the polyphenol, probiotic, prebiotic foods, and you can mix it all together. You can mix it with protein, you can mix it with fat. It doesn't have to be isolated. I know for the way my brain thinks is that once I open up my eating window, I think protein and I think microbes. What kind of protein am I going to get so I can build muscle? And what can I give my microbes so they feel good, so that they heal?
Elisa wants to know, when we eat, when we take in food, our body is going to convert that food and we become sugar burners. So does that mean every time we eat after fasting, we want to go out of ketosis?
So I think the bigger question is, how long should you stay in ketosis? When should you stay in ketosis? You can fast and pair that fast with the right foods, and you'll stay in ketosis all day long. So how do we navigate that? Well, the first thing I'm going to say is, of course, those of you that have a cycle, if there's one message you take away from today, you are not meant to be in ketosis the week before your period. Bottom line, your body doesn't want you to be in ketosis. Now, I have watched a lot of the people that I've been recently coaching. I'm watching that you can become so efficient at moving in and out of sugar burner, fat burner, that even the week before your period, you're struggling to not be in ketosis. So just make sure you keep your glucose high, and you can do that through carbs, nature's carbs. This would be the time to bring in your bananas and your mangoes and your papayas, things that you might not normally eat because you're trying to stay into ketosis. The week before a period, that is not the goal. Now, for the postmenopausal woman, you need to at least pick 1, maybe 2 days, depending on your hormone level, but at least 1 day a week where you are not in ketosis.
Okay, I got to interrupt this video because I have a free guide for you so you can master fasting. It's called A Beginner's Guide to a Fasting Lifestyle. And all you've got to do is click here and you can jump right in.
So that you can bring glucose up enough to make progesterone. Now, if you ran a Dutch test and you saw your progesterone levels were really low, I'm going to tell you 2 days. 2 days a week, you need to step out of ketosis so we can build progesterone. Now, outside of those little nuances, ketosis is a beautiful place to be in. It really depends what you're trying to do. If you're trying to supercharge your brain, there is no better fuel source than ketones. So for me, on days that I need full-on brain power, what I do is I will use ketosis either the day before or the day on the day of to prepare my brain for the best optimal situation as possible. That means I'll fast and then I'll pair it with protein and vegetables. That's what I eat. If those of you love the carnivore diet, you can do the carnivore diet. It's a version of ketosis. So if you want to pair fasting with carnivore, it's a great way. I think that's actually if you do eat meat, I think that's one of the most optimal states you can get yourself in, because the carnivore diet can bring a lot of inflammation down in the gut and it starts to upregulate serotonin. But to summarize all of that, we don't want to be in ketosis on the week before a period. If you need your brain to be at its best, please get yourself in ketosis. And then, don't forget the microbiome definitely has an impact, especially on moods if you've got something coming up. And you can feed the microbiome and still stay in ketosis. This is advanced ketosis talk that you just got right there.
Can a vegan, someone who does not eat any animal products, be in ketosis with their food?
Yeah, I've seen it. You might just need to make sure that you pair a little longer fast with your eating window, because your protein sources like beans are going to be a little higher in glucose. Now, you can lean into some protein powders. And I think that's a really interesting, you might just need to make sure that you pair a little longer fast with your eating window, because your protein sources like beans are going to be a little higher in glucose. Now, you can lean into some protein powders. And I think that's a really interesting way to do it. The challenge with that is that a protein powder is still a synthetic version. It's still an altered version of a protein, so it's not as good as a grass-fed steak. I was a vegetarian for many years. At the same time, I was a competitive athlete, and my health just went downhill. And so I started to add in eggs and fish, because I needed some protein source to be able to keep up with the workout load that I had. And at that point I wanted to be vegan. And I would say now I'm not, because I just feel better eating meat. But if you are trying to stay that vegetarian or vegan line, you're going to need to do, you might do more beans on the days that you're not in ketosis, and then maybe do more of the protein powders on the day that you are in ketosis or trying to stay in ketosis, and get some of the lower glycemic. BioOptimizer's Collagen Genius powder, their chocolate collagen powder, is high in protein, high in collagen. That's my favorite one.
Okay, are you fasting and you're still not losing weight? Check out this video, because you might be missing a key part of your fasting experience that's going to unlock weight loss. So if you think about it, all the humans that emerged out of that time have the gene that allows us to go without food. And that gene, they believe, is in all of us today.